a Grizzly salvaged one away or something like that. What do you think about Bara on the other side, playing the black-green zombies list? I think yesterday we felt like black-red zombies was the stronger deck, and it seemed like the room agreed with us because that's what we saw a lot of.
We saw far more Rakdos zombies, and I still would agree with that. That being said, I don't think a black-green zombies deck is unplayable by any stretch.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
There's clearly a lot of appeal to the black-green zombies and to adding green to your zombies deck.
Sure.
In particular, there are two very powerful zombies that green offers, and they are Dragmangler and Lawlith Troll.
I think the big one there is Lawlith Troll. Dragmangler's definitely a Boggart Ram gang, right? So 3/3 haste for 3. And
one of two, as it turns out. In all of one of two 3/3 haste for 3 mana.
So it's just Boggart Ram gang and
Dragmangler.
Right,
yeah.
The only two 3/3 haste for 3. Yeah, we were talking about that a little last night. But Lawlith Troll, I think, is the big one, and just a 2-drop with trample and regeneration.
Yeah, like lots of abilities. You don't find that too often on a 2-mana creature. In this deck, you're not discarding a ton of different cards. Basically, you're discarding Gravecrawlers only.
Sure, right.
So you get 3/2, occasionally 4/3.
Right, it's the only one you get real value out of.
Right, everything else costs you a card. So you're looking at a 2/1 trample regenerator, which is, more than acceptable. So both players mulligan to 6, but Dan still gets one of his better starts and gets a turn 1 mana creature.
Yep. And a Cavern of Souls.
Cavern of Souls. So that's probably not great for Bara, as usually players play Cavern of Souls as their last land and not their first land.
But if he's only going to name zombies, it may not be.
It lets him cast all of his creatures.
Yeah. So Gravecrawler turn 1 for Bara. Dan Jordan has an Avacyn's Pilgrim turn 1, and Arbor Elf turn 1, and then an Arbor Elf and an Avacyn's Pilgrim on turn 2. So Dan Jordan with the 3/1 drops by turn 2. I think that's what Bara's looking more like Bara's deck, or at least more like the black-red versions.
And Dan's actually safe. Bara has 2 copies of Golgari Charm in his deck, but you can guarantee that you'll not be able to cast them one of them this turn because of that Cavern of Souls.
Right,
That's why it's often the last land a player might play.
Yeah, Cavern of Souls unable to cast any spells using colored mana.
Right. I don't think anybody will be casting a charm, any of the charms.
Yeah, no charms. Cavern of Souls does not play well with the charms.
So, he does have a swamp.
Okay.
We'll see a
crippling blight, and that'll just take out the Avacyn's Pilgrim.
All right. Then Jordan gets in there for 2 points of damage with his Arbor Elves, and has no further plays. So
no land drop.
Either he really needed that Avacyn's Pilgrim, or he was just hoping. I believe I saw an Angel of Serenity and an Unburial Rites in Dan's hand. So that would be 2 cards that aren't active right now.
So Overgrown Tomb found by Bara, and there's that Golgari Charm. So yeah, all creatures get -1/-1, and that'll just wipe the board. Including the Gravecrawler. Can't cast a Gravecrawler without a zombie.
So it looks like we have a Thragtusk now for Dan Jordan. So that crippling the blight.
Yeah, the crippling blight and the Golgari Charm, keeping him off of Thragtusk mana.
And probably one of Dan's better cards in this matchup, as one might imagine.
And we have a Geralf's Messenger from Bara.
So Bara looks like he's drawn consecutive lands.
Yeah, he seems to be right back in it. And I think we're getting a check on whether Cavern of Souls can cast Gravecrawler from the graveyard.
And just double checking, I would imagine.
Just confirming. Yeah.
And
I mean,
Bear's play is quite legal and quite powerful.
Yeah. To avoid that, he could have just used the Cavern to cast the Messenger and used the Swamp to cast it. But it's it's fine. It's not a mistake at all.
Yeah, he knows his play's legal.
Yeah. And Avacyn's Pilgrim from Dan, and passes back. So Dan having a little trouble finding lands and keeping his mana creatures on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have
Bear
zombies.
Texan for 5. Dan Jordan falls to 9. Man, Bear seems legitimately flooded here.
Yeah, at this point, he's even. Well, I don't know.
I believe
what
we
he
have a
cast.
Lolith Troll.
Yeah.
But Bear is not being cooperative. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. It was a Lolith Troll and a
Tragic
Slip. Wow, Bear empty-handed, but he's
empty-handed and way ahead.
He's fine with that.
So I think Bear is just rearranging his thing to get everything.
Yeah,
in
trying
play.
to help us out here on camera to be able to see everything.
Text from Bear bring Dan to 2, and I believe Dan is drawing dead at this point.
Yeah, I can't imagine. You know, he doesn't have his 5th. He's not going to find his 5th land at that on that turn. So unable to cast a Thrag Tusk, and Dan Jordan gets run over in game 1 by Bear now zombies.
Alright, so going to sideboarding. When I play decks like these, often I will bring in entire packages in and out of the deck. Could you see Dan taking out all of his Angels or Unburial Rites and just playing a mid-range deck that tries to do Restoration Angel, Thrag Tusk, Lingering Souls, and so on and so forth?
It kind of depends on what he has available to bring back in. But you know, it's certainly something that is plausible, I guess.
All right.
So but in the meantime, right now, before we go look further,
do you want to give away some premium?
Let's give away some premium. I just feel
love
like
giving away premium.
So we're gonna give away 6 months of SCG Premium
6 months
access. Yeah, and we're gonna ask you guys a trivia question. One random correct answer will be chosen for as the winner of 6 months of premium. You just tweet your answer with the hashtag SCG Premium down there underneath SCG Live. You don't need to include anything else in your tweet, but the answer and SCG Premium to be in the running for the prize. So, you know, we have to come up with a question.
I got a question.
You got a question? All right.
All right. So, Bear Dunau is playing Dreg Mangler, which is a 3/3 haste creature for only 3 mana. There's literally only one other card in the history of Magic that is a 3/3 haste creature for 3 mana. We just mentioned it during game 1.
Yep.
So you let us know what that creature is.
What is the only other 3/3 haste creature in Magic besides Dreg Mangler?
Other than Dreg Mangler. Tweet your answers to SCG Premium, and we'll pick one random correct answer and give them 6 months of premium. And if your answer is wrong, we probably won't pick you.
Probably not. Probably not. So, good question.
Thanks.
Good thinking on the fly. All right, so what we were saying, about the sideboarding, about Dan Jordan potentially kind of just shaving off the top of his curve and playing.
Yeah, because he got stuck with the Unburial Rites and the Angels in his hand.
Right. And does he even expect to be getting to the point where he's got 7 mana against someone who was clearly able to deal with his mana creatures? So it's like, you know, the way Dan basically Dan needs to hit 7 land drops consistently, and against a deck that's good to try to run him over.
The other thing is, Bear has the really scary capability of bringing in 3 Appetite for Brains. Loves him some eating brains.
Yeah, apparently Angel of Serenity has delicious brains. I hear.
Yeah, I've never had it myself.
I just heard. You know, that's something I've heard.
Bear also has 2 more Golgari Charms, bringing himself up to 4.
And we saw the effectiveness of the Golgari Charm right there.
And then 2 Deathrite Shaman. So that will take away Unburial Rites.
Yeah.
And then 2 Sever the Bloodline. I don't think he'll bring in the Sever the Bloodline. It's a little expensive, a little pricey for what he's interested in. But I definitely see Appetite, Golgari Charm, and Deathrite Shaman all coming in.
So what would you, if you shave out the Angels and the Unburial Rites, do you cut all 8? Or do you keep like 1 Angel or something? Just
I'd probably keep a couple. couple angels, maybe like 2 to 3. Like you, maybe even keeping like 1 umbrella, right? Something like that. It all depends on what he has. Like if I'm Dan, I definitely want the Sever the Bloodline. Definitely want that. I definitely want the 2 Oblivion Rings, and I
Sure.
definitely want the 2 Centaur Healers.
What about the Abrupt Decays? They don't seem too bad either. I mean,
The problem with Abrupt Decay is that Bear's creatures are actually unkillable.
yeah, I mean they seem to just come back. Yeah. So,
Right. You know, Gravecrawler comes back, Messenger undies, Lawless Troll regenerates.
Right.
You know, there's like, you know, the Deergraph Ghouls, the Bear has Shred Freaks and Drag Manglers. So they're like, there's some applications, and they will know each other's deck lists.
For sure. Yeah. They do actually get to see each other's deck lists, so they've already probably got this planned out.
That being said, Dan doesn't actually have a ton of black mana sources in his deck. He has 7 to start. He has 4 Overgrown Tombs, 1 Swamp, and 2 Woodland Cemeteries. So it's actually somewhat difficult to cast with his deck.
I see. That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. So then you just go maybe 2 Centaur Healers, 2 Oblivion Rings, 1 Sever.
Yeah.
You bring in those 5. Maybe cut 3 Unburial Rites and 2 Angels.
Something like that. Also, Dan's Deathrite Shamans might actually be reasonable as a 2 Toughness Mana Accelerator. Update from our other semifinal match. Marc Blesso is up a game.
Marc is on the other junk deck.
He is playing junk tokens,
yeah.
and he is up a game against Elliot Wojcicki.
Who was playing Jund.
Yeah, we saw Elliot on camera
Yes.
in our top 8 match yesterday.
So Temple Garden, turn 1 for Dan. And Temple Garden has successfully stalled the zombies from
Looks
even
like we
playing
have
the
a
first
judge
time.
call of some variety. So we'll pause the match, see what's going on. Looks like Dan doesn't have any idea what's going on either.
I don't think Barra does. I don't know. Just judging from their faces, they all seem to kind of be a little confused. Or trying to figure something out here.
We'll leave you, we'll definitely keep you guys updated as we know, but just like you can't hear what they're saying, we can't hear what they're saying either.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to speculate on what it might be.
See Ruben there, Ruben Bressler writing up the other feature match for the coverage, so you guys can actually find out what's going on in that other match later on once that goes up.
Yeah, I like the text coverage.
I like that there's just a good mix. You know, if you can't watch a video at this, you know, at some point.
Well, if I wanna find something, you know, maybe like later today.
Right, you can't control F through a video sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, what happened in that match? I guess I have to watch it. You know, and that's fine too. Like that's exciting. You get to watch the match, and then reading about matches is great as well. I think so.
Yeah, if you wanna get your information live, you watch us. But if you wanna, you know, later in the day, maybe at like midnight tonight.
I know. I was watching all of the Cincinnati coverage on Friday when I got to the hotel early and went, I'm gonna watch Cincinnati top 8 again. So that's what I was doing, just hanging out on Friday. So it's something. Apparently, all we know right now is it's something to do with Barra's deck. So maybe it's a question of whether or not the image on the sleeves was actually supposed to be Ral Zarek, the Planeswalker from. Or
I doubt that's what the judge calls about.
You don't think that's what it was?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they probably wouldn't hold up the tournament to verify that.
So do you know what I'm talking about though? There was the Ral Zarek Planeswalker who was in duels last year, I think, and he looks very Izzet, and in the artwork, and so people expected him to show up, you know, maybe in Return to Ravnica.
Oh, okay.
And then that artwork was spoiled, and it looks very similar to the guy that, you know, to the artwork we saw of Ral Zarek, and that's actually, I think, the Izzet Guildmage, right?
Oh, the Nivix?
Yeah, like Nivix.
Yeah, I believe
something like that. And you know, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, so one of the Planeswalkers, because this is before Vraska was spoiled, and we knew that Jace was one. so we knew Jace was one of the planeswalkers. I thought, wow, they're gonna give us 2 blue planeswalkers.
In the same set. Yeah,
that seems crazy. So
unlikely.
But that turns out it was just the guild mage that was associated with that art. That said, I do wonder if we're gonna get some either in Gatecrash or in Sinker, because we still don't know the name of the third set. We may get an Izzet themed planeswalker. And then again, I don't know if Ralzeric was confirmed to be a planeswalker. He may just be a legend, so he could just be a legendary
that's
creature.
Also true. Yeah. I don't think there's much of a precedent for 2 planeswalkers of the same color in the last 3 or 4 blocks.
Sure. Well, I mean, when you think about it, though,
there's not a ton of.
Go Shards of Alara, Elspeth comes out, and
Elspeth
then
and
Ajani. Yeah, you get
the same set, but that's Shards of Alara, I believe, is the only block with because they also had Sarkhanval and Nissa.
Right. So I mean, it's another multicolor set.
Right. So it's difficult to make multicolor planeswalkers not overlap in color.
Right. Exactly. So I can't imagine them putting Jace and Tameo in the same set or something.
Right.
They wouldn't do that where it's 2 mono blue or 2.
Yeah, even the same block.
Right. But but having them overlap, we're getting apparently a Gideon. It seems to be.
Okay, I could see it being a red-white Gideon and only being 3 planeswalkers this block.
I think it's going to be a red-white Gideon. He's at least associated with the Boros Guild, so that's, at least it seems that way from
maybe good with the Boros mechanics or something like that.
Yeah, we don't even know what the Boros mechanic is, so that's going to be...
hopefully it's better than Radiance.
Here we are, week 2 of Return to Ravnica Standard. We're talking about Gatecrash. What's coming in Gatecrash?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you do. Don't worry about the present. It's always about what's coming next.
Absolutely, yeah. So.
Who cares? Return to Ravnica's old news.
Yeah, I know. We're 8-9 days into this format.
At least. So yeah.
What do you think of the format so far?
I think it's shaping up to be very interesting. I really, really hope the last couple of years we've had once the players, there's so many more players. Mm-hmm. Now playing Magic, especially tournament Magic, and now there's with Star City's Open Series. Right. There's so many more high-profile tournaments. Right. So that metagames seem to get solved faster. Sure. We could have probably gone the entire year. Mm-hmm. Say if we had the same cards in 2003, maybe Delver doesn't get solved or doesn't get so fast. Revealed as an obvious deck. My favorite example, you'll have to go in the Wayback Machine with me for here, but Odyssey Block Constructed. Okay. Everybody thought it was the worst format of all time. There were only 2 playable decks. The Pro Tour bared that out. That there's only mono black control and blue-green madness, threshold, flashback, whatever. There are various flavors of blue-green, and nobody thought that anything else was playable. There's actually a competition. One of the artists gave somebody with the highest finishing red deck at the tournament, and not expecting anybody to make money with a red deck. Right. Red was unplayable, but as it turns out, towards the end of the season, you started seeing these other decks start doing very well once they got tuned. There's a Mirari's Wake deck. Right. There was a mono black land destruction or red black land destruction deck. There was a green-white deck that used, there's a bunch of... More decks, more archetypes started to show up. Right. This is block constructed. This is block constructed. So if there was a Star City Open Series with, Odyssey block constructed tournaments... It might get solved pretty quickly. Might get solved, and you see the full variety of the metagame very quickly. Yeah, things kind of seem to be sped up. Right. Yes. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the way it's going to be at this point. Yeah, right now, sped up, it's not as if it's going to slow down. For example, we might be, right now, we're probably as advanced as something might be a month into, you know. If it were 10 years ago or something like that, yeah. Without the Open Series, we definitely, looks like we have a ruling in our match. Barra sideboarded in his cards upside down. So His sleeves were, the
Yeah,
picture was one
basically-
way. He basically turned all of his sideboard cards face the opposite direction,
Right, and that's
which
considered
is
marked
clearly
cards,
marked cards, something you just can't do.
Right. I mean, I don't know if it was an accident or intentional. Either way, you
Yeah.
can't. That ends up being game loss. So I
Right.
think actually, if it's deemed intentional,
If it's deemed
then
intentional, it's a
it would be
DQ without
So
prize.
the-
Anything illegal that is deemed to be intentionally illegal
Right.
is cheating, DQ without prize.
Right. So it has not been deemed to be intentional, but yeah, it's just a high potential for abuse. Is
Yeah.
basically the thing, because you just know, hey, the next card I'm getting is a sideboard card.
Right.
I can when I'm shuffling, I can see where my sideboard cards are, and that's kind of the pitfall of using sleeves that have artwork on them, especially something as clear as that.
Even things without sleeves, I know I get really irritated when my cards are facing different directions.
Me too.
And I use plain color sleeves.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly can still happen. It's just
Right.
less easily.
It's
noticed.
less obvious. So Barrow will be on the play for game 3. We get deprived of a game 2, if you will. But yeah, in any tournament, even if you're not on camera, like if on camera it'll be caught almost 100% of the time at some point.
Right.
If not by us or the table judge, it'll be by the thousands of people at home watching.
Right. Exactly. So
Barrow looks to shake it off.
yeah, just can't really do much about it.
He's looking at all his cards, making sure they're the same direction.
Yeah, you can slow down, just make sure it's all good.
Right.
I mean, the easy way to avoid that is just not ever, shuffle any. Always keep all your cards the same direction, and then
Yeah.
they just keep them that way.
Yeah, a lot of times we'll get to it when we play Legacy, but I have a bad habit of topping. When I use Sensei's Divining Top, I will put the cards back in a different direction. So the top 3 cards will be accident. So I'll pick up, next time when I go a card deeper, it'll be like 2 cards one way and 1 card the other way.
And is that like...
And it bothers me
right,
a
just
lot.
by accident?
Yeah, just completely by accident. And it'll be like something in game.
Yeah.
But whenever that happens to me, I just get, I turn my deck around, do whatever I can to get things the right way.
Yeah, I'm pretty kind of attentive to that, so it rarely happens. But the reason for that I got into that habit is because I kept splitting sleeves. If if your cards are flipping the other way, it's much easier to split sleeves. You get the corner of one goes into the top of the inside the sleeve, and then you push them together, and it just splits the sleeve.
Right.
And I like my sleeves to last as long as possible. They already seem to get grimy and scraped up too quick for me.
I play primarily with Dragon Shields.
Yeah, Dragon
and
Shields are nice.
I noticed that if you don't wash your hands every couple rounds, it starts getting those little specks of dirt.
Right, just from picking up from the table or just
Right.
things like that. So it's just a good thing to be aware of for a number of reasons. Now we're going to game 3, and do you think they sideboarded differently? Maybe slightly. I mean, they may have, just considering who's on the play and who's on the draw, but I imagine it's not extremely different. So looks like Bear's going to 6 cards, and Dan seems to be content with his, or at least he's.
Not sure if he's
Oh, uh-oh. Dropping cards on the floor. He just picked up an ace.
Bear going down to 6 cards in his 3rd game.
Yeah, so now that it's evened up, so what do you actually, who do you think has the edge now post sideboard? Just if Dan did the plan that we suspected in kind of shaving off the top end and going, kind of clogging up the mid-range, just to make his deck a little bit faster.
A little bit more smooth, yeah. Between Deathrite Shaman, Centaur Healer, and Thragtusk, I believe that Dan has quite the advantage.
Yeah, taking a look at Barrett, like he doesn't want to change too much. We do, you know, the appetite for brains kind of thing. It's a nice little game here where he's got appetite for brains, which is going to be great to take something like you know, an angel out of his opponent's hand, unless he has access to unburial rights. You know, and you're like, well,
appetite
I'm gonna take that.
actually remove exiles.
Oh, that's right, it's exiles.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's even more potent.
I knew that. Why did I forget that? So,
yeah.
But yeah. So
I mean, even getting a Thragtusker Restoration Angel is a big deal for Bear. I don't think Bear, even with the mulligan, I think Bear is in reasonable shape. Like you saw him just run over Dan.
Yeah.
Granted, Dan do some of his high-end cards without the ability to cast them, but.
Well, there we have an Overgrown Tomb on turn 1 for Bera. Keeps his 6 and is on the play. Mm-hmm. And it looks like that's coming into play untapped. He has got a 1-drop, and that's good news for Bera fans, zombie fans. It's a Diregraph Ghoul.
Yeah, it's interesting that Bera does not have, he only has the 8 1-drops in Diregraph Ghoul and Gravecrawler. He does not
as opposed
have
to the Rakdos Cackler that we saw in the wild lists.
So it looks like Dan has a Pilgrim, Avacyn's Pilgrim.
He was trying to decide whether it was worth taking 2 damage to play it at this point.
Right.
Looks like he decided not to, so he just plays his Overgrown Tomb, and
it looks like he still has at least 1 Unburial Rights in his deck, because he has drawn it, well, once again. We're trying to see if we can get a hand. We got a Gravecrawler from
Bera. Yeah, Bera has a turn 2 Gravecrawler after attacking with Diregraph Ghoul and knocks Dan to 18. Passes back. Dan plays a turn 2 Avacyn's Pilgrim and then a tapped Temple Garden.
Yeah, looks like we have a Mulch, an Angel. So he did not side out his reanimation package.
Yeah, decided to stay. Stay with his endgame.
Yeah, vulnerable to Appetite for Brains and just Golgari Charm type effects.
So
Crippling Blight, yeah.
Bera gets in for 4 and then cripples the Avacyn's Pilgrim away using Crippling Blight. So Bera's plan, Bera's game is going according to plan. So.
All right, so we have a Mulch from Dan Jordan, perfect for Dan.
He hits
a Lingering Soul. Oh, that's a Divine Reckoning.
Yeah, Divine Reckoning, and
I thought it was
couple
a
of lands, and something else that there's another spell. I think it was a Centaur Healer.
It was a Centaur Healer.
Yeah.
Which is actually pretty good for Dan, given his Unburial Rights in his hand. If Dan has a play on this turn, I would do whatever he could to make it. I'm not sure what he's thinking about. Oh, he's thinking... No, he can't be thinking about discarding. Okay. He just plays a Temple Garden and passes. It looks like Bear picks up a Cavern of Souls. That doesn't get him... I mean, it gets him closer to Drell's Messenger, but not all the way there. So he just passes with Dan on 10. Alright, so Dan now has access to either Oblivion Ring or Divine Reckoning. He just drew another one.
Yeah, Divine Reckoning is just going to be a 4-mana removal spell.
Not even, because Barrow will keep the
better. Yeah, exactly.
And recast the Gravecrawler.
So it's a temporary removal spell.
That being said, that might actually be his play. I think I'd play Oblivion Ring. Yeah.
Yeah, so he goes with Oblivion Ring on the Gravecrawler.
Right. So that'll stop the 2 damage just the same.
Sure.
Except for Golgari Charm.
Golgari Charm
is going to...
In response to take care of that.
So that's a good answer to Oblivion Ring. Dan falls to 6. However, Dan's going to have a big turn every turn for the next 5 turns.
Yeah, he needs it though because he's getting run over.
He absolutely does need it. Because he is on 4 life.
And
I'm not positive that a constant stream of Thragtusk will be enough.
Well, it's gonna have help.
I mean, it's
some
Dan's only
more,
play.
Yeah,
but
there's a Thragtusk, putting Dan back up to 9.
yeah, Bear is definitely. Bear has a crippling blight. I believe that's going to be enough. But if not, then then it's game on. The best thing that can happen for Dan is his Thragtusk actually to die because of the Unburial Rights and Dan's hand.
Sure, yeah, just getting that extra 5 life out of it and extra beast.
Right. Failing that, Dan will.
Everybody
couldn't block fast enough.
Yeah, immediately blocks the Grolf's Messenger.
If Barra has a second Grolf's Messenger, that'll be the ball game. But if not, I think I like Dan to win.
Yeah, Dan's going to take 6 here.
He took. Yeah,
he's
still fall to
3. He's taking 2 from the 1-drops and then 2 from the undying Grolf's Messenger.
Correct.
Gets a beast out of the deal, and
that beast is going to be important.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I wonder if Dan has a 6th land. I don't believe he does, because he has an Avacyn's Pilgrim that can otherwise be very valuable. All right, Tragic Slip takes out the beast, and Dan is very lucky that that was a Tragic Slip and not a Crippling Blight. A Crippling Blight would have rendered the Thragtusk pretty much useless.
Yeah, he would have
Can't
played
even
it
go
on,
to the graveyard.
He would have played it on the Thragtusk before combat, and that would have been that. So Thragtusk back down, gains 5 for Dan, puts him up to 8, but no 6th land, and the loss of that beast is still going to make things rough for Dan here.
Yeah, he's not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, so we've got 8 power worth of guys on the other side, and it looks like
Sever the bloodline. That's a pretty solid answer.
And Dan has to get in front of the Grolf's
Sever's very important because it exiles Thragtusk.
Yeah.
So that means no more
Unburial Rights
shenanigans.
Exactly. And another Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Right. So I believe Dan will flashback his Unburial Rights on his Centaur Healer that he mulched away earlier, and then play an Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Yeah. So up to 7. Avacyn's Pilgrim, exactly as you suspected, and Dan is just
Dan's treading water.
Yeah, pretty much. He cannot seem to get
fighting
another
through
land.
Messengers.
Yeah, he's got an Angel in hand, and but he's 2 lands away from being able to cast it. And
the
his deck
Avacyn's
is
Pilgrim
not
gives him
helping.
to 6.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I don't suspect the Avacyn's Pilgrim sticks around too much longer. I mean, it may just jump block.
If Barra attacks with both of his creatures, I would imagine the Pilgrim is going to jump in front of the Gravecrawler. Barra giving us a funny face. May not like his options. Barra deep in the tank. Barra's holding his cards close to his chest, so. Can't exactly see what he has at the moment. There's 2 cards. Here's what they could be. Just another Dreg Mangler.
Ooh, that's going to make things...
And a Rancor.
Oh, wow.
Rancor is probably one of the best cards Barra could have right now.
So now there's a 5/3 trample haste guy just added to the math of this equation.
Yeah,
and,
wow.
I mean, Dan's just going to fall to 2 here. He has to just get those... he could block the Dreg Mangler.
Yeah, Dan has quite a few good options here because he has another Unburial Rights in his hand.
Okay.
He might want his Centaur Healer to actually die.
Right, so just so he can get the life back out of it. And,
right. Even with that, I think the Avacyn's Pilgrim is forced to block.
Yeah, I mean, Dan could either take both of the 1-drops. Block both of the 1-drops and just take the 5, fall to 2. He can block the 5/3, take 2 from the trample. If it, he can block and kill the 5/3, take 2 from the trample, and then take 2 from each of the 1-drops to go to 1 if he wants to play with fire.
Oh wow, he's playing with fire.
He's doing exactly that. So he's going to keep the Avacyn's Pilgrim, and he's just going to hope to top deck a land here, I guess. And that was the other option was. For him to go to 1, and the last option, I guess, would be
to block the Gravecrawler on the Pilgrim.
Yeah, and
I actually would have. I might have done that play.
Right, so because he can't recast the Gravecrawler this turn because he's tapped out.
So there's no land from Dan Jordan, he drew a Grizzly Salvage.
And
So it looks like
that's pretty grisly.
Looks
draw.
like he's going to cast on Burial Rites and play a second Avacyn's Pilgrim. So he's up
He
to
basically
4.
has the same exact blockers as he had last turn, but this time he's
without the Dreg Mangler.
He's also up to only 4 life instead of the 7 he had last turn. So
Bear draws a 5th land, so he can scavenge the Dreg Mangler if he so desires. Or he has the option of rancoring up one of his creatures. So Dan Jordan's still in quite the predicament here.
Yeah, it's like you said, he's treading water, but he's actually slowly sinking. It seems. His life total keeps kind of going up a little bit, down more. You know.
Yeah, the games where like Bear's slowly running out of things to do. He's not out of He's not out of pressure, but the pressure is getting ever so lessened every time. And the thing is, outside of Drawless Messenger, Bear does not have any reach. If he was playing, if Bear was playing Rakdos Zombies, this 4 life would be quite a bit more precarious.
Well, there's that 5th land as you mentioned, and he is going to scavenge the Mangler.
Yeah.
So I imagine whatever he puts this on is getting chumped by an Avacyn's Pilgrim.
by the Centaur Healer.
Oh, I mean, do you think he? I would imagine he would block with the Pilgrim.
Well, the Pilgrim represents his 7th
I
source.
see. You just want to. Yeah, he's getting out of here. I see. No, that actually is better because he's able to cast the Angel. For some reason, what was it? Another Angel?
Thragtusk.
Oh, okay. Well,
man, I still think Dan
just got
casts
very
Angel,
interesting.
But
I was expecting Vera, because he wants to get damage in here, is just to attack with both zombies. And
I would have attacked with both as well.
I thought that would put the Centaur Healer in front of the Gravecrawler and the Avacyn's Pilgrim in front of the the big diagraph pool.
All right, so Dan is playing Angel, exiling Bear's 2 creature and an Avacyn's Pilgrim in Dan's graveyard.
It's pretty much. I'm surprised he went Pilgrim and not Centaur Healer, but I guess.
As am I, because he has a Thragtusk in his hand.
Yeah.
Without the Thragtusk, because Dan has a 2nd on Burial Rites.
Oh, is that he's got a okay?
Oh, just
Appetite for Brains is
1 turn too late.
Yeah.
Although not perfect,
it's still going to take.
It's still going to take a Thragtusk.
Yeah, very.
That
very
is a
likely,
Divine Reckoning.
Yeah, that's what he's reading there.
Divine Reckoning kills all the creatures except for 1, basically, on each side. So that's actually good. That keeps Dan on 4 life, unless he wants to flashback his Unburial Rites on his Centaur Healer. So,
Alright, so Dan's going to get in with the Angel and the Avacyn's Pilgrim. There's the Divine Reckoning. Each player chooses a creature he or she controls, destroy the rest.
Yeah, flashes back.
Yeah.
There is one in Dan's graveyard.
Would he salvage that away, I guess?
Yes, or mulched earlier in the game, yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah, it was mulched. Sorry. So there's that Centaur Healer we've been seeing. Actually, that's a new one, because there's the one in the graveyard.
Yes.
Right?
He's drawn a 2nd Centaur Healer. So Borderland Ranger finds Dan Jordan's 6th land, and Centaur Healer brings Dan up to a comfortable 7 life.
Facing down nothing.
Yeah, and looks like Dan
may have this game. Everybody in. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's 11, because he didn't attack with a Pilgrim. That's exactly what he needed. So Dan Jordan on his back foot against a horde of zombies, and he finds a way to stay in it and then get out of it. Wow, so Dan Jordan advancing to the finals.
The game loss comes back to bite Bear.
That's true, yeah.
Unfortunately, I would have loved to see another game. I think the match between these decks are very close.
It was an interesting match.
Yeah, I mean, both games were pretty close.